Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Saturday night, or should that be Sunday morning version, episode even, of Crushed Custard. Now, what we're going to do tonight is something a little bit different again. We're not going to do a review as such, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the latest haul, if you like, of the latest albums that have arrived here at Crushed Custard. Now, this is something that we said we were going to do in the initial intro. We're going to go through the collection from A through to Z, or A through to Z, depending where you are, and it's something that we are going to do. But what I tend to do is when I get new stuff coming, I don't tend to file it for a while. I only file it when I feel as though I've listened to it enough times to know what it's all about, and then it's there for when I fancy it again. If it doesn't get filed, it gets moved on. That doesn't happen very often. So what we're going to do now, rather than start on the A's, I thought tonight, there's a special reason for this, which we'll come to later. Tonight, go through the stuff that hasn't been filed yet. So this will be a little bit more, it'll be a bit more structured in future, in the fact that we'll probably do it every month or so. But I haven't filed a great deal of stuff since, I don't know, probably the beginning of December, maybe even the end of November. So this is the stuff that's arrived since then. And it'll maybe give you a little bit of an idea as to how eclectic things can get here. Because sometimes people think, well, it's all Deep Purple, it's all heavy rock, it's all 70s and 80s psychedelic rock type stuff. It's not. There's some other stuff in there, so we just haven't got to it yet. But this might give you a bit of an idea that some stuff does go in that isn't like that, and I listen to it, and it's good. I've got a lot of stuff. As anybody that's ever looked at the written blog and stuff will know, there's all sorts of things on there. So anyway, that's what we're going to do now. Then just take a little brief look, only 20 seconds on each album, just to tell you what it is basically. If there's anything in this pile that you particularly want to hear more about, let me know in the comments below. This is something that I've been told off about this week, is that I'm not doing enough self-promotion. Apparently, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to encourage people to comment and like it and subscribe to it and all that sort of stuff. But you're also supposed to do it at the end, because if you do it at the beginning, they don't know what they're subscribing to. So I'm going to do it at the end. But just in case I forget, I thought I'd just do it now anyway. So at least then I've done it. So anyway, so this is what we're going to do, and if you see anything in here that you want a bit more info on, or you'd like to hear a fuller opinion on, or an opinion on, should I say, I've got to be grammatically correct, because I'm not going to go into any detail about it. I'm just going to tell you what it is, basically. Then you leave a note in the comments, and if you're a subscriber, we'll do a review of it, and we'll get it up quicker than we would do normally, because normally I don't necessarily review stuff all that quickly anymore, because I don't do the sort of professional writing reviewing anymore that I used to do, where things have got to be out on time, because I'm just too busy with other things. I mean, when I finish this, I've got to start going and do some horse racing commentating on another YouTube channel. But anyway, let's get back to this, and these are the things that have come through the door here at Crushed Custard. Now, that could be that they've been sent to me. It could be that I've bought them. It could be that I've found them from somewhere. It could be that I've been gifted them by somebody, as we'll maybe see later. What I tend to do, I might as well tell you this, with Discogs. Discogs is a great place for picking up albums that are not really worth any money, but you just never got around to getting or look interesting. And what I tend to do is, if I find somebody that's got some interesting sort of bits and pieces, I'll stick them in the cart, and then I just leave them there. And then, from now and again, I'll see something, and it'll come up, and it'll sort of say, oh, there's free shipping on this, because you've already got something you can't buy that person. And when I've got enough stuff from that person to make it worthwhile, because I hate paying postage, nothing worse than paying 10 quid, 15 quid for an album and 5 quid on top for postage. You do it this way, you can sometimes get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 albums and only pay for the one postage. And sometimes some of the sellers do no postage at all if you buy enough. So that's what I tend to do, because it's just stuff that I think I maybe ought to have picked up more things that are missing or things that need replacing. So that's what it is. That's what I do. Maybe something that you might want to try to do. It's also interesting. You look in your Discog cart and you think, oh, 78 things in there, and you look at it and it's like, why did I put that in? And then you look back at it. It's the closest that I can get to what it used to be like when you can go and trawl around old record shops. So I'm making my own sort of fun, I suppose, if you like. Anyway, let's get on with the haul of stuff that has been through the door, whether that be the postman or from anywhere else, over the last 5 or 6 weeks or so. So, these are in no particular order, by the way, they're just in a pile. First one on the list, and I know 1 or 2 people who've already subscribed to this channel are going to quite like this. This is Caravan. Caravan, The Land of the Graham Pink. It was a great album. This is from the Land of the Graham Pink. Now, this is a Japanese edition, and it's a live album that they recorded sometime later on. We look at this lovely coloured vinyl stuff in there as well. Lovely little thing. And the tracks on it, what have we got? We've got 9 Feet Underground takes up the whole of side 1, as you'd probably expect it to. Side 2 is For Richard, and If I Could Do It All Over Again, I'd Do It All Over You. We're past the water because that sounds a bit dodgy to me. Anyway, so there you go. This is Caravan, Pye Hastings, Richard Coughlin, David Sinclair, and Jeffrey Richardson. It was recorded, I'm pretty sure this was recorded in London or something. There's not a great deal of info on this screen. It's one of those coda editions, which is a little bit, I mean, they're only a little bit sort of above being a bootleg, but they're quite nicely put together. The sleeve's nice, and I've had 1 or 2 others of these in the past. I've got a Creedence Clearwater Revival live album, I've got a Rush live album, I've got a few others as well, which have turned out, a couple of Black Sabbath ones as well, which have turned out to be okay. Get the odd duffer now and again, a bit like the Deep Purple California Jam one. Is really weird. It's been heavily edited, but anyway, they're interesting and they're not that expensive either. They're only about 10, 12 quid or something. So anyway, this is it. Caravan, from the Land of Graham Pink. Will sit quite nicely alongside In the Land of Graham Pink for me. So that's the first one that came through the door in this particular pile. Second one from the same place, one of those coda things, and this is an AC/DC album. I love AC/DC album, and There Was a Guitar. Now this is recorded, or was recorded, at Towson State College, Maryland on the 16th of October 1979, so it's Highway to Hell era stuff, isn't it? And what have we got on side A? We've got Shot Down in Flames, Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, Sin City, Whole Lot of Rosie and Rocker. And then on side B we've got High Voltage, Highway to Hell, and If You Want Blood, and Let There Be Rock. So, good set of tracks. Pretty sort of flame orange type vinyl as well. So, again, don't forget these are not necessarily as good as official releases. They're bootleg quality, but a little bit better. They're, a lot of them are taken off the radio, off the TV or whatever. They're certainly listenable, but they're not what you would call general release quality recording. So if you're going to be a bit fussy, you probably wouldn't want them. But it'll be interesting stuff to have. That'll be well worth a listen. Now, next up is one of the albums from last year that I was waiting for a long time. It's an album which is probably my number 1 female singer. It's close between 2 of them who tend to get to the top, but this particular one has been with me longer, so just about keeps all of the top, keeps on the top spot. But this is a strange album. It's the album and the artist Heather Nova. Now this album is called Other Shores. Now anybody who knows Heather Nova, she arrived in the middle of all that sort of female angst stuff of the early 90s. That's some brilliant albums. Everybody who goes on to my written blog will know that I can't speak highly enough of Heather Nova. She's my #1 female vocalist and songwriter. So I was a little bit worried about this, to be honest, because it's an album of cover versions. Now, to me, somebody who's such a good songwriter, why would they want to sing somebody else's songs? And so I was a little bit apprehensive. Obviously, I've played this quite a few times. It just hasn't been filed yet. What sort of tracks he got on it? Well, it's got Waiting for a Girl Like You, Foreigner, Jealous Guy, John Lennon. Song Staying Alive, the Bee Gees, Never Gonna Give You Up. Rick Astley, was it? Somebody? Don't Stop Believing from Journey. A great song, but ruined by all those TV programs for wannabe stars trying to sing it for me. Like a Hurricane's on here as well. All sorts of sailing as well. So it's strange in the sense that it's full of covers, and Heather Nova can write. I think Heather Nova can write better songs than all these people on here, but maybe she wanted to do it, get it out of a system, or I don't know. But I'm hoping that in a couple of years' time we will get another album as good as this one, which you can probably see. Can you see behind me? It's just here in that section there. That's her last proper album with her own stuff on, Pearl. Pick up a copy of that if you haven't got it, because it is absolutely wonderful. This, on first listening, I was a little bit, why? What's the point? But then I started to sort of get it, and it's the versions are very, very different to what the originals are. So it's worth a listen. And Heather Nova, Other Shores. Now the next one is one that should have arrived a long time ago. Now, my old mate David Coverdale has done a pretty good job in the last few years of repackaging a lot of his stuff, and putting it in nice covers and nice little collections. Maybe one or two of the decisions about taking off some of the musicians and adding extra flourishes here and there and adding things on have not been quite so good. But there was a thing called the Red, White and Blue trilogy. Now, when I was going to be sent the Red, White and Blue trilogy, I got the red one and I got the blue one, but they didn't send me the white one. Now, the white one appears to be more difficult to get hold of, but eventually, finally, just before Christmas, my white one turned up. So here it is. It's the rock album. Now, basically the way these three are, there were three. There's the red, the white and the blue. The white was the rock album, the red was the love songs album, and the blue was the blues album. And basically it's taken somebody's stuff from 87 sort of onwards and repackaged it mostly. But they make a good job of it, you know. It's got a nice cover and it's got a nice gatefold thing, and it's a nice little collection. And obviously the white one is in white vinyl, the red one's in red vinyl, the blue one's in blue vinyl. It's a nice little set to have. It's by no means essential. It was pretty expensive when it came out. I had to buy it, and it's got a nice embossed cover as well. I've just noticed that. And obviously the snake is reminiscent of the snake on the first album. It's nice of me now to have the three, so I'm quite happy to have finally got the white part of the red, white and blue trilogy, or would it have just been a duo, a trilogy duo? I don't know what it is, but anyway, there you go. So it's now a complete red, white and blue trilogy, so thank you very much for sending me the white one. Keeping on the old snake theme, this is next. Now this is a little bit more essential. This is Restless Heart. Now, this was the album that was supposed to be a David Coverdale solo album, but the company made him put it out as White Snake because they thought it'd sell more copies, which, in truth, it probably did. Some people will tell you this is the last decent album he made. Some people will tell you he made one more decent album after this, which was that did have its name on a solo album, Into the Light. This is great because it was never released on vinyl before, so it's the first opportunity you'll have had to get a vinyl copy. And look again, the packaging is lovely. It's silver, it's embossed, It's got a nice little gatefold sleeve, and there's a little picture of Mr. Coverdale looking cool and whatever. And also, when you get inside, it's got a copy of some interviews with some people in there as well. Denny Carmassi was in the band, and I think God Pratt's might be in there as well. But it's lovely silver vinyl as well. Now, I found myself needing to get this because I haven't got a copy of Restless Heart on vinyl. But we'll take a little bit of a jump now. So excuse me a minute while I have to potentially turn my back on the camera. There's also this version. Now this is the CD version. Now in this, man, you've got everything you could possibly need. Everything you could possibly need in this for Restless Heart. It's got acoustic versions. It's got versions that they were recording while they were thinking about it. I think it's got 5 discs, and it's great. But for me, let's have it on vinyl as well, because I haven't got a copy of Restless Heart on vinyl, and I don't care what anybody says. Vinyl sounds different. It's great to have this on CD. And I said I tried to put this on vinyl. It would probably have to be an 8 LP version. It would have cost about 100 quid or something. So there you go. So for me, I've got the CD one because I wanted all the extras, all the outtakes, all the different versions. But the vinyl is worth having as well because it's got on it all of the. It's got the album and a couple of extras, and it's on vinyl for the first time. Okay, so moving on. Dry throat. Let's cheers, everybody. A bit of Portuguese vino. As we move on to the next one. Now, moving a bit more up to date now. I'm moving away from the rock circles and going into this. This is Molly Birch. Now, Molly Birch is probably more in the vein of the Heather Nova type thing. It's female vocals, obviously. It's I don't necessarily need to go into lots of detail. The debut album from 2017, which was really sort of moody and nice and whatever. A lot of people tell me this one is a little bit tame compared to that, but I've spun it a couple of times and I think it's great. It's going to be an album that I'm going to listen to a lot. It's one that I can't really talk about a lot because I haven't really listened to it enough to talk about it. But if you see it about and you like the sort of female vocals and the Heather Nova type stuff and all that, it's well worth getting hold of. And again, it's a lovely little package. They do make an effort to package these things up these days. I mean, look at this. When you open it all up, you've got a nice little picture there, which is all glossy and lovely. Whether she's standing in a swimming pool or what she's doing, but you know, it looks like something like that. And then you've got the inner bag, but also it's in this shocking pink vinyl as well, which is great. I love these coloured vinyls. I think I've become addicted to coloured vinyl over the last 2 years. But that's a great album, different to anything that you've seen from me so far on here, because this is really going down the sort of indie pop lines rather than the rock lines, but it's good stuff. And I know a lot of people that I know are watching this. Well, we've only got 29 subscribers, so all 29 of you, hi, how you doing? I know at least half of you will like this. It's a good album. It's worth listening to. When we get that number up, we're going to have some really exciting guests on later in the year. I've been talking tonight. We're out in LA tonight. Doesn't sound quite as exciting that LA is my local village pub. That's what it's called. But we've been talking about some of the people that have said they'll come on and do an interview. To get them on, we've got to get the subscriptions up. We've got to get the numbers up. So if you've got a chance, press that old subscribe button. It would be lovely if you could. Anyway, that's Molly Birch. That's something that I will be doing a big in-depth review of at some point. Great album. The next one's a bit of a surprise. I didn't order this. I didn't ask for this. But sometimes, if you get a seller on Discogs, they chuck you a bonus album in. And I think one or two of them, they guess from what you've ordered what you might like. Or they've just got a load of old junk that they want to get rid of. Some people say they put it into to protect the others. They put the decent albums in between two bad ones and all that sort of stuff. And I got some albums from somebody in November time, and they very kindly gave me a free copy of this, which is now I haven't got, but I'm actually quite interested to listen to it, because somebody who I know has got a decent set of pipes, you can sing a note or two, and it might be quite interesting. It's Olivia Newton-John. Oh, Let's Get Physical. Now, that's an album I would never have considered buying. It's an album that I'd never consider I'd be talking about on the World Wide Web to everybody who's watching. Well, 29 of you anyway. But yeah, I'm going to give it a go and see what's what, and keep your eyes open, because you might be getting an Olivia Newton-John review. And who knows, things are so crazy. I might even do a fitness video in the new year. What about that then? Crushed Custard, fitness to Let's Get Physical. We could do that, couldn't we? That'd be great. Anyway, that's what we might do. Anyway, back to sensibility now, he says. And you knew some Deep Purple come at some point, didn't you? But I'll pick this up just before Christmas as well. This is something I'd never seen before. It's a Canadian-only Best of Deep Purple, but it's Best of Deep Purple Mark 1, so that's pre-Ian Gillan. So that's the Rod Evans and Nick Simper version, and it's got some of the tracks you would expect to have on it, in the fact that it's got Kentucky Woman and Bird Has Flown and Hush and Mandrake Root and Hey Joe. But some of the other ones that you'd expect to be on there are not on there, and it kicks off with River Deep Mountain High, which, yeah, it's that River Deep Mountain High. I've never really understood why Purple covered that in the first place. It's a strange track to kick off with as well. But actually, when I played this album, I actually appreciated it more than I ever have done in the past in its positioning on the album that it's really on, which is on the Book of Taliesin. So it's a strange package. It's a weird cover. It's just a picture of a candle in a sort of candle holder thing, and then the Best of Deep Purple pinned on the wall, and there's this funny sort of negative type picture of the band at that point on the back. Track-wise, River Deep Mountain High, Kentucky Woman Anthem, Bird Has Flown on side 1, Lelania, which is a Donovan track, Hey Joe, Mandrake Root and Hush on side 2. So a strange mixture of tracks, but I'd never seen one of these before, so I was persuaded that it needed to become a part of the ever expanding Deep Purple collection here in the Crushed Custard headquarters. Moving on next, as I said before, I've become somewhat addicted to coloured vinyl since the lockdown started, really. And that's when I really started buying vinyl again. And I picked this up for next to no money at all, really. One of those bands that you used to listen to in the rock clubs and all that sort of stuff, but you know, never really bothered buying their albums. I've had most of these on download on my hard drives for some time, just purely for sort of archival purposes and all that sort of stuff, with things I used to do before. But this came up at less than the price of a pint of beer, and I thought I'm going to have a copy of that then. It's Sticks Pieces of 8, and it Sticks Pieces of 8 in, there's the inner sleeve there as well, we can see, but it's in a lovely sort of clear vinyl. Now, clear vinyl in 1978, there wasn't that many coloured vinyl things came out years ago, so it's quite nice. This is a typical sort of Sticks album. Played it through once or twice. I'll give it a few more goes later on. And Sticks, they're not one of those bands, aren't they, that are there that you listen to now and again, but I don't think I've ever come across anybody who said to me, Sticks are my favourite band ever. If Sticks are your favourite band ever, tell me in the comments and tell me why. And because it's fascinating, I'm sure somebody must have Sticks as their favourite all-time band. But this is an album which will now be nestling quite happily in the collection. Over here, another one of the newer ones is next, and this is an album that I sort of had in mind for some time, because a few years ago, because of my love for the sort of female singer-songwriter and stuff, a lot of people used to send me albums by up-and-coming young singer-songwriters. I get sort of like 27 new Joni Mitchells every month and all that sort of stuff or whatever. But it did mean that I got to appreciate even more the female singer-songwriter. And then when that sort of 60s sort of like that sort of 60s pop sound came back a few years ago, loads of stuff, and I picked up some really nice albums, which I'm sure we'll come to at some point during the life of Crushed Custard. And this is one that I've been meaning to pick up for ages, and I didn't. And eventually I saw one, I thought, oh crikey, yeah, I'll be meaning to get a copy of that. And it was, I don't know what was in the remainder bin, it was probably less than a fiver, I think. But it's this. Oh, was it something on the floor? That's probably my download card. It's an album by a person called Honeycut. Now I think this is actually a band. I think it's a trio. I haven't done a great deal of research on them yet, but I'm the singer, I think she's called Kim Honeycut or something like that. It's a real like dreamy sort of pop type album type thing. I don't know a great deal about it, so I haven't listened to it more than once yet, but it's one of those things that is a bit different, and it's probably keeping me more up to date with what's going on in the real world or the music world these days. So that's going to be quite an interesting thing. And again, it's one of these things that comes in a nice little package. There's a nice little thing here with a motif, and then the lyrics all stuck on the back. And once again, nobody seems to do black vinyl anymore. It's in a sort of translucent pink this time, which is rather nice. So that's another one that I haven't listened to enough yet to file, but when we do, I'll be giving it a bit of a review probably, just to prove that it's not all rock stuff that we listen to here in Custard HQ. Okay, so we're back now. I don't know what happened there. The battery must have gone or something, and we've now moved to a different camera, so hopefully the sound and the colour saturation and stuff won't be too much of a problem, and it'll blend together okay by the time I ever get to put it together. Now, as I think I was probably saying before, I love buying albums from the 70s, the mid to late 70s and the early 80s, because there were some just really obscure things that people just seem to put albums out and then disappear. And there's some really great stuff. So what I tend to do sometimes is I'll look at the title, or I'll look at the cover, or the titles of the songs. And if they interest me, then I'll think, oh, I'll give that album a go, because they're normally only a few quid. They're not normally very expensive. So this next one is one of those. So if anybody knows this artist or has a copy of this album as well, let me know what you think. Again, in the comments below. Catherine Howe, Dragonfly Days. I mean, that just looks, doesn't it? That cover just looks like an interesting album. It's got a great title. The dragonfly bit goes over onto the back. There's a little picture of Catherine at the top there as well, and then the song titles and the people that write it. I have absolutely no idea who this person is at all. It's just a case of, oh, that's £2, sticking in the collection. So I'm guessing that it's going to be mid-70s type, easy listening folk type thing. But again, this is an album that you want to hear more about. Let me know if you've got one and you've got an opinion of it. Let me know. This is what this Crushed Custard thing is all about. It's not about getting 75 million views or 2 million likes. It's about connecting with like-minded people. I don't mind if there's only 10 of you. I don't care about that. It's the feedback, and the feedback I've got already has been great. I've already had 3 or 4 people saying to me, never heard of Frankie Miller, never heard of Jess Roden, he's brilliant. That's it. The channel's done its job already as far as I'm concerned, in that it's opening people's eyes and ears up to things that they may have missed, because there's so much music out there. You can't possibly get to everything. You're always going to miss stuff. There's always going to be stuff that falls through the cracks. So this is probably one of those sort of albums. There must be somebody out there who thinks this album is great. I've played it once so far, and it was good. I enjoyed it. It's still in the pile to be played again, and it'll be eventually filed. It's not gone into the discard box. So Catherine Howe, Dragonfly Days, great cover. It's a sort of album, I think, that would only have been released in the 70s. I don't think it would have come out any other time, because somebody would have probably said it won't sell enough copies, we won't make enough money out of it. But then it seems to be that they just take a chance on loads of stuff. And it's great. There's a ton of great music out there. Don't be put off by the fact that you see a title and you think, oh, I've never heard of them. If the title looks interesting, if the cover looks interesting, the song titles look interesting, give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? And the next one that came through the door is my completest thing, because you will have seen from my pre-Christmas Album of the Year awards that I gave the Album of the Year award to Rosalie Cunningham for Two-Piece Puzzle. Now, she was in a band called Person before. Now, I hadn't got a vinyl copy of their album Desire's Magic Theatre, but I have now, and this is good because I've now got them all on vinyl, so that's brilliant. This is a great. I'm not going to spout about this. Go back 3 or 4 videos, watch the live track that I put up on my Album of the Year of Rosalie now in her solo career with a new band. This is in the same sort of ilk. It's basically Rosalie Cunningham anyway. Everybody else is a bit plain, really. It's a great album. Brilliant. It's obviously going to get filed quite soon, and we'll look at this in some depth if anybody would like us to as well. So there you go. That's another one that came through the doors at Crushed Custard. I promise you we are getting near the end of this, but I thought this was going to be a quick 10-minute job. It's turned into the longest video ever. Probably the least informative and least entertaining one as well. Back with the Purps. This was the final Purple purchase of 2022, and it's this Deep Purple Live in Verona. Now, I've been after the original version of this for a long time. There's only, I don't know how many, there's 1,500 or something. It's a triple album, obviously recorded live in Verona with an orchestra. Superbly packaged. It's got a nice gatefold sleeve and stuff, but the original one comes in 3 coloured vinyl, white, green and blue or red, I can't remember. It costs a fortune. If you go and find one, it'll cost you a packet. They've just re-released it now on ordinary black vinyl, and I spoke to my mate Stephen McGrath, who's a bigger Deep Purple collector than me now. He's got one. He's got one of the original ones, and I said to him, because I'm probably never gonna get one of the coloured vinyl ones, because they don't come up very often. When they do, they go for a month's rent or something. They're a fortune. So I said to him, because obviously I've got loads of Purple stuff, loads of live Purple stuff, then is the performance, is the album good enough to justify buying this reissue? And he said yes. So on his recommendation, this was purchased, and I have to be honest and say that I haven't actually played it yet. And the reason I haven't played it yet is because I haven't had time. When I get a new album, I like to make sure that I can listen to it without disruption, and that I know that nobody's going to phone me up, or nobody's going to knock the door, or phone's not going to go, or anything like that. So this is a triple album. It obviously needs quite a bit of sort of time and whatever, and so things have been quite busy lately, as some of you all know. and I haven't really had a chance to do it. So this is in file back near the top, and as soon as I get the time, this will be getting serious listened to. But from everything I've been told, it's pretty good, and it's just been re-released, so you can get yourself a copy of this pretty easily. But it is in the ordinary black vinyl now, although it has, like the coloured version, got the inner sleeves and all that sort of stuff. It just hasn't been reproduced in the coloured vinyl. So we're getting pretty near the end now, and this next one is interesting because this is an album that's never been released in Britain, and I'm fairly certain that none of my 30 subscribers would have ever heard of this person. Now, when I started doing the reviewing thing 10-15 years ago, I got involved in reviewing stuff from Europe and Canada as well, quite a lot from Canada, that they were thinking of releasing in Britain. And it was like, listen to this and see if you think it'll sell. Do a review, play it to some people, do all that sort of stuff. So I did. And subsequently, I ended up with a liking for a lot of what in Britain would call foreign artists. I'm talking about people from Spain and Italy and France and Canada, and people that weren't generally going to be released over here. Now, this album is from a French performer. Hasn't got a very French name at all. So if you saw this, you'd probably think it was somebody from around the corner. This is an album by a lady called Mylene Farmer. Now, Mylene Farmer, for those of you that don't know, which I'm guessing is pretty much everybody, is basically the French Madonna. This woman's like a superstar in France. And some of the stuff she does is fantastic. There's pop stuff, there's theatrical stuff, there's loads and loads and loads of great sort of stuff on there. But you can't get her records in England. The only way you can get them is to import them. And now with all that nonsense with the EU stuff, you've got to pay tax and all that sort of stuff. So I picked this up the other week. Double album, live double album with, and I appreciate that most of you probably think, oh, you want that anyway, but I did. With this nice little booklet in it, with all these pictures from the tour and everything. Double album. Tenner. I mean, what was I going to say now? There you go. Mylene Farmer. That's probably going to be the wildest thing on this list up. But I tell you, you go and take a look. If you've got an open mind to sort of European music and you've got an open mind to pop music, you can go and look up some of Mylene Farmer's stuff because he's pretty sensational. So he's really, really good. It's very sort of Madonna-esque and theatrical and all that sort of stuff. Nothing like rock music and deep purple, but it's great. You've got to like a little bit of something different, haven't you, sometimes? And this is brilliant. Mylene Farmer en concert. You see, wasn't even released in Britain. It'd just been called in concert here, wouldn't it? Anyway, into the newest stuff now. This is the stuff that arrived basically today. Now, you will have seen, maybe you will have seen, the video for Media in the Week from Frankie Miller. And that got me looking through some stuff, because obviously Robin Trower up in there, and it got me looking through another. I've got some Robin Trower albums missing. Now, fortunately for me, not necessarily fortunately for Robin Trower, he's not one of those artists that it's sort of like 50-60 quid for an original pressing of his albums. And I've got a few missing. And I managed to find this chap on Discogs. We've got them all going for about £5 a throw. So, what did we get? Robin Trower, Back It Up. The records are out of these, by the way, because they only came to down. The person had the decency to send them with the records outside of the sleeves. That's a good thing to tell everybody. If you send in records in the post, take the records out of the sleeves and put them either side, because then you don't get seam split, you know, because the record is being chucked about, whatever it is. Yeah, anyway, that's my lesson for the day. So, Robin Trower, back it up. Robin Trower, long misty days. These are all, for some reason, missing in my collection. I don't know why I missed these ones out. Also, Take What You Need was another one I've got missing. I picked that up today as well as the live album. I'm surprised I hadn't got this, but the Robin Trower live album. Again, we said James Dew is on most of these albums, not on all of them, he's on most of them. Great, so I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into these that I haven't heard already. One of the older ones that I've got missing, I was really surprised I hadn't got this one. It's Inner City Dreams. This is one of the earlier ones. I haven't got this either, so I have now. That's got to be on the old platter before the weekend's out, I would think. And again, if you want me to in-depth review any of these, let me know, and we'll get them done. The last of the Robin Trowers is one. It's not a Robin Trower band album. This is a Robin Trower and Jack Bruce album, which is called Truce, and this should be pretty good as well. It's got a track on it which is called Take Good Care of Yourself. Now, I'm fairly certain, and again, I don't know because I haven't checked, because I say this only arrived today. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the Frankie Miller song. If it is, I'll be even more delighted. In fact, I can't tell me how to find it, but anyway, I'll update you all on that when we do a proper look at it. Well, I'm really hoping that is the Frankie Miller track, Take Good Care of Yourself. If not, I'm sure it'll be a good track anyway. But that was one of the other ones we had missing, and that's arrived today in the latest batch of stuff that's arrived here. Just a couple to go now. 3 or 4. This one also came today. Mick Jones, guitar playing Foreigner, solo album, all sorts of people on this. The main reason that I picked this up is because former Rainbow and Deep Purple vocalist Jolene Turner is on one of the tracks, and that's going to be quite interesting to listen to. Jolene Turner, one of those people that some people love him, some people don't. I happen to think he's pretty good, and we're looking forward to listening to that. I'm pretty sure it's going to be standard Foreigner type AR rock type thing, but it'll certainly be interesting. There's some good musicians on it, and well worth a couple of quid and a good listen to. The next one is, again, something a little bit different, which again was one of those things that I just saw it and I thought, well, it would have cost me any extra on a postage. It's only a couple of quid, so stick it in. If anybody's heard of this band and anybody knows anything about them, come and let me know. Tell me in the comments below. I'll start doing that quite a lot. Emperor. Who are they? I've never heard of them. Never heard of them at all. But it came out in like 76, 77. Most of the music that came out around that sort of time, we forget the punk stuff, was good. The titles of the tracks: Dreamer, Do You Feel Alright, Time What It Takes, I'm a Lion Woman, A Million Years Ago. They're interesting sort of titles. You think, well, it's probably going to be okay. I listened to one track on YouTube for about 35 seconds or something, and I thought, that sounds okay. Stick it in the basket. 2 quid's worth. Emperor. I'll let you know what they're like when I get to listen to it. I've not played this yet, of course, it only came today. But that's one of the things that I like about record collecting. Buying obscure stuff like this that you don't know anything about. The chances are these people who were in this band, what are they called? Joe Alexander, Joe Marquez, Mike Labette, Steve Watts, and Randy Budat, I think it says. They might end up, they might end up being in other bands and stuff and take me on a wild ride to somewhere else. Who knows? That's the thing about records from the 70s, because people went on and did other stuff, whatever, and it can take you into some, or down some rabbit holes, as somebody said to me not too long ago. So that's going to be one that I'm quite interested in. And again, if you've heard of them and you know anything about them, let me know. Emperor, well, that 1976. On to the last 2 now, and this one is an album that I've already heard, and it's good. I was sitting a download of it to review a while ago, and noticed this week that it was available on vinyl, and it was, again, excruciatingly cheap. Less than 2 pints of it. And it's somebody called Beth Rowley. This album's called Gotta Freer. Now, her first album came out years ago, Little Dreamers, and it's really, really good jazz, blues, rock type stuff. And you might be thinking, oh, I've never heard of her. Well, if you watch the TV, you probably have, because have you seen that one of those latest TV dramas on BBC called Strike, which I think was written by the same woman who wrote Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. I think she wrote it under a different name. It's a bloke. It's one of those. It's almost like a typical sort of Victor Chandler type. Not Victor Chandler. It was a bookie. Raymond Chandler. That's the one I mean. It's almost like one of those detective type things where he's a bit of a down and out bloke. He's had a bad time and stuff. His foot's been blown off in the army and everything. And it's a detective thing. It's called Strike. And Beth Rowley sings the title track. Now, unfortunately, that's not on this album. It's not on her first album either. So I don't know where you can get hold of that. But if you want to listen to what she's like, just stick an episode of that on your iPlayer and you'll hear it straight away. And it's wonderful. So this is great on her. Hoping, I know it sounds good. I haven't played it yet, and it came today, as I said. But the CD version sounds good. I think it's going to sound even better on vinyl. My one gripe, I've got one gripe about this, because this is a new release, only a couple of years old. It comes in an envelope sleeve, which is all right. Envelope sleeves are fine, but there's no inner bag. It's black vinyl. There's no insert. It's very shoddily put together, really. If you think that when they would have tried to sell this in the shops, the price they're trying to sell vinyl at these days, 20, 25, 30 quid. It's not worth it. I mean, this cost me 8 quid, I think, or 10 quid or something. I don't know. But it would have been nice. It would have been a little bit more elaborately packaged, shall we say. But that's not going to take away from the music. The music's what counts. And this is going to be good. Beth Rowley, Gotta Freer. So, we come to the final new arrival at the Crushed Custard HQ. Now, this has been gifted to me by my good mate Harvey. Now, Harvey's one of my mates from up the pub, and he is a massive Black Sabbath fan. Absolutely massive Black Sabbath fan. We have constant conversations about Black Sabbath and Deep Purple. Really funny. I usually win, but that's beside the point. Who sold the most records? Black Sabbath or Deep Purple? Anyway, doesn't matter. And he ordered about 75,000 different versions of Ozzy Osbourne's new album. He got a few duplicates, I think. So, what he's very kindly done, and I do mean this, he's given me this tonight. He's given me a copy of Ozzy's new album, which is Patient number 9. It's still got the cellophane on it. You can hardly take it out. You obviously just open it up to see which one it was. And I can do likewise, I think, to get it out. And you can, it's a double album. I didn't realise it was a double album. But this is in crystal clear vinyl. So, should be giving this a spin over the weekend at some point, and you can be fairly sure that I'll be expecting to do a review on it before too long, because every time I got the local village pub and Harvey's in there, he's going to be going, have you reviewed that Ozzy Osbourne album yet? Why haven't you reviewed the Ozzy Osbourne album yet? So, having you given me this, the least I can do is do a review on it. So, he tells me it's pretty good. One or two other people whose opinion I do respect have said it's pretty good as well. So, I'm expecting it to be pretty good. So, that's the most recent one that came through the door here at Crushed Custard Central. Came through the door about 20 minutes before I started recording these videos, which was probably truthfully a long time ago now, because I've been waffling and waffling and waffling. This is probably the longest video ever. So maybe I'll have to do this again because it takes me too long, but at least you haven't got to worry about looking at funny pictures and things while I'm waffling. You just have to put up with looking at me for all this time. So anyway, there we go. That's it. Saturday night, Sunday morning edition of Crushed Custard this week with the new albums that have come through the door. If you've seen anything in that batch that you particularly want to know more about, let me know and we'll bump it up the list for review. If there's something in that list that you know about and that you want to tell the world about, come on, be a special guest on Crushed Custard and tell us about the album and what you think about it and where you got it from and all that sort of stuff. And that's it really. So we'll say good night now. I shall bid you all farewell with another sip of my Portuguese red wine. I can definitely recommend it. It's going in the right direction, Portuguese red wine. Another little thing I'm interested in as well, but I'm not going to start a review channel on wine. So you're safe from that. I hope you've found something of interest, if you've managed to stay awake, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.